So how to find a COM object which can be hijackable? So this case is similar to a DL hijacking. You have to find something which is triggered either at the boot time or at the user logon time. Now a good candidate can be found in Task Scheduler. So let's take a look at that. So let's extract all the information about tasks. So we query the schedule task task scheduler and take all the tasks into the XML in the XML format into the file. Okay, so let's go there and see how it looks like. The user, and let's take a look at that. So it's a very long list of tasks. So what we're looking for, we're looking for two things. In exec section, there should be something called COM handler instead of like a path to a binary, okay? And in a triggers, we're looking for a logon trigger because we want to have persistence, right? So let me scroll up. Yeah, we have a command here. It's another command, exec, and here we have it. We have a COM handler, okay, which points to a specific class ID. So this is a identifier of the some kind of COM object. And logon trigger is used as a trigger with a delay 30 minutes. Okay, so let me scroll up a little bit and see. Yeah, we have another COM handler, and this time it's a logon. It's a delay for 5 minutes. So let's take this example. It's a work folders logon synchronization. Okay. So what to do next? The next thing is let's take a look at how it looks in how this COM object looks in registry. So we just query its classes root like CLS ID, and we need this ID. So it's in proc server 32, and this COM object is implemented in this DLL. Okay, so let's see actually where this thing is. Where does it sit? So is it current user or local machine? So we go to software, and it was classes. So nothing found. What about local machine? And it's in local machine. So now we know that this key lives in local machine. So if we put something in current user, we will hijack that COM object. So let's export that key, export the whole key into RTO persistence 01. Let's call it task orig, like original, and let's get it from 64-bit. Okay, so now we have this thing here, right? Okay. So now let's take a look at hijacking a COM program. So I already prepared a template for that, and it's really simple. As again, a DLL main is pretty straightforward. Now, if you take a look at the COM objects, the component object model defines that every COM object has to at least export one function, which is DLL get class object, and this function is being called by the SCM. By the application. Okay, so what we do here is we implement that function, which is then exported, and this function will just call our implant and return OK, and that's it. Okay, so let's compile it. Let's go to pers 01 com and compile it, and it created a file called wrk folders shell.dll, and if you remember from the original, it was work folders. Okay, so we changed that a little bit. If you take a look at the compile bot, it's deliberately done in that way, and you will see in a minute why. So now our DLL is ready. The next thing we have to do is to implant it in registry. So how we do it? We change this original exported key to current user. Okay, copy, paste it here, and we have to change that path to point it to our hijacking DLL, and just make sure it's double backslash, and it's wrk folders. So let's save it as just dsk, and now we can import that. So we put import dsk to 64-bit registry. Okay, and let us check if this is actually okay. So classes root points to our DLL, and we can make sure it's in classes in current user. All right, so now we're set. Our persistence is configured. So in reality, now we would need to wait for the user to relog in or reboot the machine and log in back. But we can simulate that behavior, but just starting task scheduler. So we go to Microsoft, Windows, and work folders. So it was logon synchronization task, and as you can see here, it's a logon, and it's triggered after 5 minutes, delayed by 5 minutes. So that is why we won't relog in. We just run that task here, and as you can see, our notepad has popped up. So let's check where is it coming from. So it comes from notepad and implant.exe. So it looks like our persistence worked. So let me close all of that. and move to the next topic. So previously, what we have seen is that we successfully hijacked the COM object, but we actually probably broke something, because we have hijacked the COM object without actually delivering the functionality the application needs. Okay, so what we want to do now is to fix that and actually make this task working as it's supposed to work. So to do that, let's go back to our source code and let's comment that out. And if you scroll down, I've prepared another version of our DLL get class object, which now does something additional. So we still launch our implant, but after that we load the original COM object, COM server, and we get the process address of the original DLL get class object function, and then we call that function. So in other words, our COM hijacking DLL acts as a proxy, the very similar way as in the DLL example, but this time the only thing we need to do is to proxy this function, and the COM model will handle everything else, because when the application calls DLL get class object, the COM object will deliver more information about available interfaces this COM object implements, and application will be able to get to that these functions and interfaces using that information. So we are not even involved in that process at all. The only thing we need to be sure of is that the application will get the original DLL get class object function to run. So let's compile that again, and actually let me add something else here. Let me add some sleep time so we could see that both DLLs, like the original COM object and our hijacking DLL, get loaded into the same process. So let's save it, let's compile it again. Okay, and let's run the task again. So as we can see, Notepad has executed. So let's see where it lives. And now we see the parent process. So let's suspend that process. So task host w.exe is executing our task. As you can see here, task work folder logon trigger. Okay, so double click on it. Let's go to modules, and now you can see that both our hijacking DLL is loaded, as well as the original work folders shell.dll. So that's how you can perform COM proxying instead of just hijacking the COM object. And as usual, let's clean up after ourselves. So we go to current user, software, classes, CLS ID, and we need to find, it was this one, 97. This is correct. So we delete that. We can actually release that process. We can close that. And let's run the task again to make sure that it runs correctly. So now our task, not our notepad didn't trigger, so we're clean.